Now, Roland, I wanted to do something a little different. Let's play the game of okay or not okay. Are you with me on that?
All right.
Okay, you go first.
Is it okay to strike a child in anger?
No, that's a really bad idea, Roland. How about this? Is it okay for you to try and use the same exact thing that the child did to somebody else in order to teach them a lesson? If they didn't feed the animal, you deny them food. If they hit another child, you do the same thing. See how you like it, Bobby.
Yeah, that's never okay to do that. In fact, it's counterproductive and ineffective.
Is it okay to leave a child in a car unattended?
It's never okay to leave a child in a car unattended, even if you think it's only for moments. You don't know what could happen. You could get delayed, and we've seen kids wander off in a blink of an eye. You need to be watching what's going on. Is it an appropriate form of discipline to make your kids line up outside and stand rigid attention in the cold?
I think that could be problematic if you are inflicting unjustifiable physical pain or mental suffering. I think you're going to get yourself charged with a crime if you do that.
Is it ever okay to deny your children food on a regular meal, not like a snack in the afternoon, but deny your children their regular meals over something for discipline? Like the old thing where people used to go, I'm sending you to bed without dinner. Is that ever appropriate?
I think that could be problematic in today's society, because it's one thing if your child is, having a weight problem, is snacking endlessly, and you want to put an end to that behavior. It's completely different if you're withholding necessary sustenance to a child, if you're withholding food, if you're withholding water. We're not talking about saying, okay, Johnny, you're on your 27th can of, Fanta, enough is enough. Obviously, you should step up and do something. But if we're talking about, I'm going to punish you and not give you dinner because you didn't do your homework, I think if you do that repeatedly, for sure, you're going to find yourself charged when the child makes a disclosure to somebody.
The flip side of that is, in the old days, if a kid was caught smoking, the parents would make them smoke 10 cigarettes.
Oh, no, that's terrible. Definitely don't do that.
Or if they were caught eating something they shouldn't, they'd make them eat the whole cookie jar. Is that okay?
I'm kind of fuzzy on that one. I think, is it unjustifiable? It certainly sends a message. I probably wouldn't recommend doing that. I'm not sure it's necessarily criminal, but I think it would depend on the size of a cookie jar.
Yeah, or what they're caught eating.
How about this one, Roland? Okay. A garden hose. Somebody is caught sneaking out of the house, and this came out of a case that I once heard in court. Someone caught sneaking out of the house. Parent decides to teach him a lesson, takes out a garden hose and just pours, a whole bunch of cold water. Justifiable, not justifiable, or it depends.
That one's a little closer call. It would depend upon the circumstances. If the child had snuck out and they were caught and they're just standing there and then you hose them down with cold water, I think that might be excessive. But if you caught them sneaking and in the process of sneaking, you squirted them with the hose to stop it, that might be a pretty low level of discipline,
Yeah, I'm not offended by that one. I think it depends on the circumstances. If you have a teenage girl or a teenage boy who is sneaking out in order to have sex, do drugs, engage in criminal activity, if you've tried other methods of discipline and you decide, okay, I'm going to get creative, I'm just going to spray them with a bunch of cold water, see how they like it, it's probably better than beating them with the garden hose, but I think you're really straddling a line. You may ultimately prevail at trial, but you sure are increasing your odds of getting charged with something.
Yeah, definitely. It's pretty much close to crossing the line at that point.
What about this one, Roland? We've heard this one before. Washing a child's mouth with soap for using bad words or profanity.
Well, number one, it doesn't clean the words out of their mouth, but
certainly sends a message.
It sends a message, but 20 years ago, I would say it's okay. Nowadays, I think a lot of people would look at that as child abuse.
I agree with you, actually. I think the message behind it is appropriate. We don't want you to say dirty things, but I think you could probably achieve that by a different method that doesn't raise the risk of you getting charged. I think physically washing it out with some chemicals, I think somebody out there is going to say that that's endangering the child's health, even if the punishment is necessary. Is it excessive? I think on the flip side, you could argue, well, it's better than spanking them, but I'm not sure. I think this one's kind of fuzzy. You could get an acquittal if you have a good lawyer and you go to trial for this and you got the right jury. Doesn't mean you're not going to get charged and have a lot of headaches in the process.